Okay, so the Payday 3 roller coaster has roller coasted once again. Just last week I made a video complaining about the lack of communication from Starbreeze about upcoming content, and here we are 1 week later with a confirmed release date for the next update, May 26th. The confirmation of this release date also came with the announcement of a new type of stream that Almir is going to be hosting from time to time. Alongside the Heist with Almir streams, there will now also be News with Almir streams. These streams are guaranteed to begin with a news segment where Almir and potentially other members of the team will be sharing important information. While I'm sure that there will be some nuggets of information that we'll be able to take away from the regular Heist with Almir streams going forward, I think it is going to be very helpful to have a clear indicator to differentiate between the streams where there is news to be shared and the ones where there isn't. One of the most exhausting things the community has been dealing with recently is just how often Almir will start streaming and then have to immediately let everybody down by saying there is no news to share that day. I think it really soured the tone of his streams, despite the fact that these Heist with Almir streams were never supposed to be bi-weekly news sources. The goal of them was just to maintain an interaction with the community, not necessarily by sharing information about upcoming content, but more so just through allowing a couple of hours a week for members of the community to jump into the game and play with somebody from the Starbreeze team themselves. I think having somebody like Almir on these streams is absolutely fantastic as well. He is the face of Payday at the end of the day, and giving the community some time to interact with him and jump into game with him does go a long way. I'm hoping that the Heist with Almir live streams can start to feel a little bit more fun again, as opposed to each one being somewhat marred by the fact that there isn't any news to share. One of the things myself and many others have criticized about the way news has been given on streams so far has been not only the fact that there is no form of breakdown of any of the news that is shared on stream after the fact, but also that there hasn't really been any way of distinguishing the streams that are going to have news from the ones that won't. This is going to make it so much easier to know when it's worth tuning in if you only do so for news and information. Perhaps now that these news streams are clearly going to be planned a little better ahead of time, it also means that it's possible for us to get information released in a written format, like a blog post, alongside these streams as well. If there's a set list of things that are going to be shared, I don't see why that can't be put out in a blog post or a tweet or some form of written communication to reach everybody who doesn't always have time to tune into the streams. I know that we have some absolutely fantastic members of the community like Mage, who collate all of the important and interesting information from a given Heist with Almir stream and then put it on Reddit, but at the end of the day, that isn't their job. They shouldn't really be doing that. Starbreeze should be doing that. I don't mean to take away from the fantastic karma farms that those are, but really, if we are getting important information, especially something as big as the fact that there are 2 heists currently in development, that should be made readily available to everybody by Starbreeze. It's not been confirmed that we're going to be getting blog posts or even a summary tweet with every single News with Almir stream, but if it doesn't happen with next week's stream, which is seemingly going to have a lot more information about the next update, then you can rest assured that that level of communication is something that I'm going to be using my position as a Starbreeze partner to really push for. I think it is indescribably important that any information that's out there is made as readily available and easy to access as possible. So now that we understand what the point of these News with Almir streams are fully, well, what was said in the first one? To start with, it was confirmed that the next update will be releasing on May 26th. That's less than a month away from now, and it's worth noting that we would have waited 112 days between updates. So this had better be a big one, right? For now, all we know to be in this next update is Armor 2.0, but Almir has assured us that there is more. Hopefully, we'll be finding out some of the other things coming with this update this week, as Almir is going to try and get Andreas to join him for a live stream. I'm hoping that the release of this update marks the start of a return to a more consistent update cadence. Even if it isn't particularly frequent to begin with, something like one update every 2 or 2.5 months to begin with, I'm just really hoping that it stays more consistent above all else. The frequency is something we can pick up over time, but the consistency is what I think is most important now. On the subject of consistency, something that hasn't remained consistent involves the release of Starbreeze's investor reports. One of the things we often do as a community whenever we can is review the investor reports. A good example of this is the quote about the game receiving significantly reduced investment that actually came from the Q3 report. And of course that turned into something that a lot of the community paid attention to. But of course we also paid attention to the Q4 report, and we have been eagerly awaiting the annual report for 2024. Well, that annual report has released, but frustratingly, it has only released in Swedish. We've seen in the past Starbreeze's surprise when the community have paid such close attention to their more corporate communications, and that's why I've got to say, releasing this document solely in Swedish, whereas all of the other reports in the past have been available in English as well, really comes across as an attempt to gate some of the community from accessing its content. Of course, we will never know if that was the intention, but regardless, that's how it looks, and that doesn't look good. If you were wondering if this is just something that's exclusive to the annual reports, I can tell you that it isn't. The 2023 annual report is still available on Starbreeze's corporate website in full English, so I really don't know why this one was released in just Swedish. I have read through the report using Google Translate, and from what I can tell, while nothing stands out as all that interesting, there also doesn't seem to be anything in particular that they might have been trying to sweep under our noses with this report. So your guess is really as good as mine as to why this one was released just in Swedish. Before we talk about a statement from Starbreeze's new CEO, if you are enjoying this video, all I ask is that you consider clicking that subscribe button. We've got the goal of reaching 5,000 subscribers before Payday 3's next heist releases. We know that the next heist is quite far into development, so who knows how long it'll be until it's released. If we do manage to hit that high goal of 5,000 subscribers in time, I'll be going back to play and review all of the Payday 2 heists that I never got to experience as a console player, because they were exclusive to the PC version of the game. Now for that quote from Starbreeze's new CEO, Adolf Christensen, that we got alongside that annual report. It reads as follows: "Given how the market currently values game companies, it feels justified to review our capitalized development costs for Payday 3 from the previous year. We can now focus forward for both upcoming releases for Payday 3 as well as the franchise as a whole." This seems to be worded very carefully, as it can either read as a good or bad thing for Payday 3. On one hand, he says that they want to review the capitalized development costs, which, as I understand it, is usually a gentle way of phrasing that a particular product hasn't performed as well as expected. Which obviously we all know it has, but I think it's a little bit more concerning to hear that be the first thing the new CEO has said. But then, on the other hand, he said they want to focus forward, and that we can expect upcoming releases for Payday 3 as well as the franchise as a whole. This means they're not done with Payday 3 just yet. While we know that there is an update around the corner and at least 2 heists in development, this statement gives me confidence that there are more things coming after that. Around the time this statement came out, I saw some chatter implying that this means Payday 3 is going to be receiving more investment going forward, and I just don't see how this statement indicates that in any way. If you think you see things differently, please do let me know in the comments section down below, and I'd love to have a discussion about this. But I just wanted to be clear and say that I don't think this indicates any form of increased investment in Payday 3, only that the game hasn't been abandoned. Something which I said in my last video was that I hoped when we do finally find out more information about future updates, we at least get to know why we had to wait so long in between communications to begin with. I didn't think that was very likely, but it was something I wanted to put out there anyway, but it seems like that is actually going to be the case. Almir confirmed that we will receive some sort of communication about why we've had to wait so long between updates. And to be completely honest with you, while no excuse is going to be able to undo the 80 days of silence we've just gone through, it will be nice to at least have a reason. We don't know if a deal has been reached with Plaion about the future of their support for Payday 3 yet. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can click the video on screen now, and I'll see you in the next video.